talk calipers. Okay, so I mentioned last week that I had a bit of a project that I wanted to take on. It was in regards to a quote unquote beater bike that I had planned on using in those crappy late fall, early spring kind of rides. So word of warning, if you plan on taking on one of these projects, especially with an old bike like this one, this is a steel early 1980s, maybe late 1970s Bianchi. I find that if someone has stuck on Bianchi with stickers on the frame, it's typically not a Bianchi. Anyways, I don't know what it is. It's comfortable though. Let's go with Bianchi for now. If you take on one of these projects, trying to shoehorn contemporary modern components onto one of these frames is very difficult. And word of warning, you really need to do your research. So I went ahead and didn't do any research. I just decided to buy a whole shit ton of components and try and put this Franken bike back together. And one of the areas I really struggled with was with these guys. These are side pull calipers. These ones are made by Tektro. Again, I didn't want to spend a shit ton of money on this bike because I'm only going to ride it a few times. And it's probably going to see a lot of salt and grime and really messy conditions. So yeah, so I bought these. These are about 80 bucks, something like that, side pull calipers. But here's the rub. These are called recessed nuts. Your other option, which are currently on this bike, are nutted. So typically, this little doohickey will slide into the frame and then will connect to this little screw, and it's all tucked away nice and neat and recessed within your seat stay and your front fork. However, what I have on this bike is actually nutted, and I should have probably checked that before I bought these guys. So these guys are now up for sale, and I put the old Dura-Ace nutted calipers back on that frame. Now, what I did do also was I changed the brake cables, and that seemed to make quite a bit of difference. So while the stopping power is not quite up to today's standard for rim brakes, it just means I have to say less of a prayer when I want to stop with these things. A little bit better. Makes a difference. Where I did have some success was sourcing an 8-speed cassette. That's a brand spanking new, SRAM, and I did get an 8-speed chain. I got those puppies installed, no issues, and like I said, new brake cables are on. Old calipers are back on, put the fenders on this puppy. So yeah, again, word of warning, if anything you want to do with a vintage frame, let's call it that, with modern components, do your research first, and it'll save you time, money, and less profanity. Okay, so you saw project number one. As I mentioned last week, kind of had a good ending. You know, at least the cassette is updated, at least the chain is updated, and brake cables are updated. So, you know, it wasn't a total failure, even though I felt like a total failure. I'm so hard on myself. Thanks. Hey, look who it is.
Failure.
So we have another project to do. We're going to go to Bushtuka again, and mentioned last week, actually you saw last week, Linda's got a new beater bike, and we got some pedals for it, and we got a bottle cage for it as well. So let's go get it.
Let's go.
A short drive later, we're now on foot.
Smiles.
Quick pit stop into Loblaws, and then over to Bushtuka. Grocery shop done. That was quick. Let's go get those pedals. Okay, made it home. Got the goodies. Let's go put them on. Okay, that's a wrap. Got the bottle cages on, got the pedals on, told you how much of a shitty mechanic I am, and that you need to do way more research if you're going to do any kind of upgrade to a vintage bike. Please, please, please do the research. In case you were wondering, I did get out for a ride yesterday. Here's some footage of me out and about in Ottawa. Unfortunately, not all of the footage made it. So I didn't have enough to compile an outstanding video of me riding around Ottawa. So next week. Have a great week. Next week, we're going to look at shoes, cycling shoes, something that's near and dear to my heart. I got a few pairs that I want to talk to you about, the good and the bad, the highs and the lows. So we'll do that next week. Take care. We will regroup. Have a great week.